Why do some people thrive under pressure while others crumble? Well, the answer isn't talent or intelligence, it's how they handle discomfort. And today, you're going to learn how to reclaim your edge. Because the truth is, most of us aren't lacking motivation. We're just out of practice when it comes to doing hard things. But there is a way back, and it starts with a mindset shift. Welcome to Wise Words, where we distill the best books into practical, life-changing insights. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because today's video might just change the way you see the world. And if you find value in what you learn, leave a like. It helps us reach more people like you. So here's a question for you. What if everything we think we want, convenience, comfort, and ease, is actually what's holding us back? Well, stick around because in this video, we're going to dive into the 15 best ideas and ways to apply them in your life today from The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. A book that reveals why stepping into discomfort might be the key to a stronger, healthier, and more meaningful life. So first, let's talk about how modern comfort is making us weak. Idea number one, modern comfort is making us weak. Let's be real, our lives are easier than ever. Food is delivered to our doors, cars take us where we need to go, and temperature control keeps us from ever feeling too hot or too cold. But here's the problem. Ease doesn't equal happiness. In fact, it might be the opposite. For thousands of years, humans had to fight for survival, hunting, gathering, enduring harsh weather. Well, today, we avoid even the smallest discomforts, and it's making us weaker, less resilient, and more anxious. For example, think about how people react when the Wi-Fi goes down. What could be seen as a small inconvenience can feel utterly unbearable, because we're no longer used to the real struggle of being alone. So the problem? Without discomfort, we stop growing. Strength, both physical and mental, comes from overcoming challenges, not avoiding them. So here's your first challenge of the video. Try adding just a little discomfort back into your life. Take a cold shower, walk instead of drive, carry your groceries instead of using a cart. It doesn't have to be extreme, just something that forces you to step outside your comfort zone. But what happens when comfort creeps up on us slowly, making life feel harder than it actually is? That's where idea number two comes in. So idea number two, the comfort creep trap. So every time life gets a little easier, our definition of hard changes. What once felt normal now feels unbearable. This is what's known as comfort creep. Think about it. When air conditioning was invented, people only used it occasionally. Now, a slightly warm room feels uncomfortable. When smartphones first arrived, they were a luxury. Now, a few seconds of a slow loading page can make us impatient. So, the more comfort we have, the more we begin to expect. And when those expectations aren't met, life feels harder than it really is. For example, imagine someone from 100 years ago stepping into your life just for a day. They'd be amazed. Clean water at the tap, food at the press of a button, endless entertainment at your fingertips. And yet, so many people feel more stressed than ever. The problem? Well, we don't notice this shift happening. Each tiny improvement makes us less tolerant of anything that isn't perfect. So here's the challenge for idea number two. Find something in your daily life that feels annoying and do it the hard way on purpose. So if you always take the elevator, use the stairs. If you instantly grab your phone when bored, sit with your thoughts instead. By choosing discomfort, you stop letting small inconveniences control you. But discomfort isn't just about physical effort. There's another kind that's even more important. The discomfort of pushing yourself into the unknown. Let's talk about that next. So idea number three, humans need physical hardship. So for millions of years, survival demanded movement. Hunting, gathering, building, carrying. Physical effort was part of daily life. But today, most people move less than ever before, and it's taking a toll on both body and mind. It's not just about exercise. Our ancestors didn't work out the way we do. They lifted awkward objects, walked long distances, sprinted when necessary, and carried heavy loads over uneven territory. Movement wasn't optional, it was life itself. Example, have you ever noticed how kids love to climb, jump and explore? That's because movement is natural. But as we get older, we trade movement for convenience. We sit all day, we drive short distances, and we avoid any physical effort we don't absolutely have to do. And the problem here? Well, when we stop challenging our bodies, they weaken. Joints get stiff, muscles shrink, endurance fades. And it doesn't take long, just a few weeks of inactivity, that can cause major losses in strength and mobility. So here's the challenge. find a way to move more intentionally. It doesn't have to be a workout. You can carry your groceries instead of using a cart. You can walk a longer route. You can do tasks manually instead of using machines. The goal isn't to exercise, but to reintroduce effort into daily life. There's another kind of effort that goes beyond physical one that forces you to redefine what you believe is possible. And that's where we get into the power of Misogi. So idea number 4, the power of Misogi. What if you set a goal so difficult that you only had a 50% chance of success? No safety nets, no guarantees, just you facing something that forces you to absolute limits. Well, that's the idea behind Misogi. Misogi is an ancient Japanese practice, but today it's been reinterpreted as a challenge designed to push you beyond what you think you can. The rule? It has to be so hard that it changes the way you see yourself. For example, can you imagine running an ultramarathon with zero prior experience? Or maybe swimming across a frozen lake? Or carrying a heavy object up a mountain? The point isn't winning, it's proving to yourself that you can do far more than you ever thought possible. The problem here is most people never test their limits. They stay inside their comfort zone, never discovering, what they're truly capable of. But when you take on something that seems impossible and then survive it, it changes you. You stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as challenges to overcome. So here's the challenge. Pick one thing this year that feels impossible and commit to it. It doesn't have to be too extreme, just something that makes you nervous because you don't know if you can do it. A physical challenge, a new skill, an experience that pushes you. The goal isn't to succeed, it's to try. There's also another hidden benefit to doing hard things. It changes the way your brain experiences time, and that's what we'll get into next. Idea 5. Boredom is necessary for creativity. When was the last time you let yourself be truly bored? No phone, no background noise, just nothing. Well, like me, most people can't remember. The second we feel even a flicker of boredom, we grab our phones, turn on a podcast, or scroll through endless feeds. But here's the problem. Boredom isn't useless, it's fuel. Your brain needs empty space to think. It's in those unstructured moments that ideas connect, insights emerge, and creativity happens. But modern life doesn't allow for this. Instead, we fill every gap with stimulation, and as a result, our ability to focus, create, and think deeply is disappearing. Example, ever notice how your best ideas come in the shower? Well, that's because it's one of the few places where you're not bombarded with constant input. When your brain has nothing to focus on, it starts making unexpected connections. And this is how creativity works. So here's the challenge. Reclaim boredom. Instead of reaching for your phone every spare second, let your mind wander. Try going on a walk without music. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. The more space you give your brain, the sharper it becomes. So, and while we're talking about things we've lost, let's talk about hunger and why feeling hungry might actually be good for you. Idea number 6. Hunger is a lost experience. So in the past, hunger was normal. It was a part of life. But today, we panic if we haven't eaten in a few hours. We're constantly snacking, constantly grazing. Food is always available. And because of that, we never experience real hunger anymore. But here's the thing. Hunger isn't dangerous, it's a signal. It tells your body to adapt, to use stored energy, to trigger processes that keep you healthy. In fact, occasional hunger has been linked to better metabolism, increased energy, and even a longer lifespan. Example, think about fasting. Many cultures throughout history have practiced it, and not just for spiritual reasons, but because it forces the body to reset. Today, science backs this up. Periodic fasting activates a process called autophagy, which clears out damaged cells and improves overall health. Here's the challenge. Try going a little longer without food than usual. Now, you don't have to starve yourself, just let yourself feel hungry before eating. Notice how it feels, because the ability to tolerate hunger is a skill and one we've lost. And speaking of things we've lost, let's talk about movement and why we're moving in all the wrong ways. Idea number 7, the myth of modern exercise. Most people think exercise means lifting weights at the gym or running on a treadmill. But here's the truth. That's not how the human body was designed to move. For most of history, movement wasn't separate from life, it was life. People carried heavy things, walked long distances, climbed, crawled, jumped. Today we try to make up for our sedentary lifestyles by forcing ourselves into artificial workouts. And while that's better than nothing, it's not the same as real functional movement. Example, have you ever noticed how a construction worker or maybe a farmer is often stronger than somebody who goes to the gym all the time? Well, that's because their strength comes from real-world movement, lifting awkward objects, stabilizing their core, and using their whole body. So here's the challenge. Move like a human again. Instead of sitting all day and then doing a 30-minute workout, look for ways to integrate movement into your entire day. Begin to carry heavy things. Walk on uneven ground. Use your body the way it was meant to be used. But movement isn't just about exercise, it's also about adventure. And that brings us to the next idea, the power of solitude and the wild. Idea 8, the importance of true solitude. When was the last time you were truly alone? No notifications, no background noise, just you by yourself with your own thoughts. For most of human history, solitude was normal. People spent time alone while hunting, travelling, or just sitting in silence. But today, we're never really alone. Even when we're by ourselves, we're connected through screens, through messages, through endless distractions. And here's the thing, if you're never alone, you never really know yourself. You're constantly reacting to other people's opinions, emotions, and expectations. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's a reset. It's a way to hear your own thoughts without interference. For example, think about history's greatest thinkers. The Buddha, Thoreau, Nietzsche, even Steve Jobs. They all talked about the importance of solitude. And why is that? Well, because it's in those moments of stillness that deep insights happen. So here's the challenge. Spend 30 minutes completely alone. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you. Walk, sit, or just stare at the sky, see what thoughts come up. Because the ability to be alone isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. And here's where it gets interesting. Solitude is even more powerful when you combine it with the next thing, the wild. So idea number 9, the wilderness recalibrates the mind. So humans weren't meant to live indoors 24/7, but today most people spend their entire lives inside. Waking up in a climate-controlled home, driving in a car, working in an office, and winding down in front of a screen. And what's the result? Well, we're disconnected from nature, and we're paying the price. Studies show that people who spend time outdoors have lower stress, better focus, and even stronger immune systems. But beyond the science, there's something deeper happening. For example, have you ever noticed how time feels different when you're in nature? When you're on a mountain, or in a forest, or even by the ocean, your brain seems to slow down. You stop thinking about emails, notifications, and schedules. You just exist. And in a world that constantly demands your attention, that's rare. So, here's the challenge. Spend time in a completely natural environment. No distractions, no agenda. Even 20 minutes in the woods can reset your mind. And if you want to take it further, go somewhere truly wild, where you feel small. Because when you do, your problems start to feel small too. Being in the wild also teaches you something else. How to handle discomfort. And that's where carrying weight comes in. Idea number 10. Carrying weight is a forgotten skill. There's something primal about carrying something heavy over a long distance. It's not just exercise. It's a test of endurance, strength, and grit. For thousands of years, humans carried things. They hauled water, transported food, built shelters. Today, we carry almost nothing. Our bags have wheels. Our groceries are delivered. And most of us struggle to lift anything heavier than a laptop. But here's the thing. Carrying weight does something to you. It strengthens your body, yes, but it also strengthens your mind. When you pick up something heavy and walk with it, you feel it and you earn it. For example, have you ever seen firefighters train by carrying weighted packs up flights of stairs? They do it because carrying weight builds endurance better than almost any other exercise. And you don't need a gym to do it. So here's the challenge. Try rucking, which is walking with weight. Load up a backpack and go for a walk. It doesn't have to be extreme, just heavy enough that you feel it. Because in a world where everything is designed to be effortless, choosing effort is what makes you strong. Speaking of strength, let's talk about why hardship isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. Idea number 11, hardships are the key to happiness. So most people believe that happiness comes from comfort, that the easier life is, the better it feels. But here's the truth. The people who are the happiest aren't the ones who avoid hardship, they're the ones who embrace it. Think about it. The most meaningful moments in life usually come from the struggle. Training for a marathon, building a business, overcoming fear. None of these things feel easy in the moment, but when you look back, they're the things you're most proud of. For example, have you ever met somebody who climbed a mountain and regretted it? Probably not. Because the pain, the exhaustion, the challenge, that's what makes it worth it. We don't find happiness in avoiding effort. We find it improving to ourselves that we can handle it. So here's the challenge. Reframe struggle as progress. So the next time you're frustrated, exhausted, or tempted to quit, ask yourself, what if this is the exact moment that's making me stronger? Because it probably is. And this brings us to something deeper. What happens in your brain when you push yourself past what you think is possible? Idea number 12, the hero's journey applies to everybody. So every great story follows the same pattern. A character leaves their comfort zone, faces a huge challenge, and comes out transformed. That's the hero's journey. And here's the thing. It isn't just a story structure, it's how real life works too. Look at any major achievement in your life. There was probably a moment where you wanted to quit, a point maybe where things got harder than you expected. But when you kept going, that's where the growth happened. For example, think about how kids learn to ride a bike. At first, they're terrified. They fall. They scrape their knees. But the moment they push through the fear and keep going, that's the moment they transform. And the same thing happens to us as adults. We just forget it. So here's the challenge. Recognize when you're in the middle of your own hero's journey. When something feels impossible, remind yourself this is the part where you struggle. And the only way out is through. And speaking of pushing limits, let's talk about how the brain actually changes when you break routine. So idea number 13, the brain needs novelty. Ever feel like time is flying by? Like the days blur together and suddenly a whole year has passed. That's because when life becomes routine, the brain stops paying attention. It goes into autopilot. And before you know it, time speeds up. The solution? Well, novelty. New experiences force your brain to engage, making life feel richer and more memorable. Example, ever taken a trip somewhere new and felt like time stretched? Well, that's because your brain was absorbing new sights, sounds, and experiences. But when every day looks the same route to work, same routines, time compresses. So here's a challenge. Break your routine. Take a different route home. Try a new skill. Change your schedule. Even small changes force your brain to wake up. And that's what makes life feel longer and fuller. But not all challenges are about action. Some of the hardest ones are about stillness. The next idea is about depth awareness. Idea number 14, depth awareness enhances life. So most people avoid thinking about death. It's uncomfortable. It feels dark. But here's something unexpected. When you truly face the reality of your own mortality, life doesn't become scarier, it becomes richer. For centuries, philosophers, monks, and warriors have practiced memento mori, a Latin phrase meaning, remember, you must die. Not as a morbid thought, but as a way to sharpen focus. Because when you realise your time is limited, every moment matters more. Example, imagine if you only had a year left to live. Would you spend it the way you are now? Well, that's the power of confronting mortality. It forces you to ask, am I wasting my time? The problem? Most people live as if they have endless time. They put off their dreams. They avoid difficult conversations. They delay what really matters until one day they run out of time. So, here's the challenge. Spend 5 minutes every day reflecting on your own mortality. Ask yourself, if today were my last day, what would I regret? Because when you truly grasp that life is short, you stop waiting and start living. Because at the end of the day, comfort isn't the goal. Growth is. And the only way to grow is to get uncomfortable. Idea number 15, the disconnection epidemic. We've never been more connected. Messages, social media, instant access to anyone, anywhere. But here's the paradox. Despite all of this, people are lonelier than ever. Modern technology gives the illusion of connection, but likes, comments, and texts don't replace real human interaction. We evolved to connect through eye contact, shared experiences, and deep conversations. Without that, something inside us starts to wither. Example, ever notice how spending hours on social media can leave you feeling drained instead of fulfilled? Well, that's because scrolling isn't real connection, it's just noise. Real connection happens in the moments when you're fully present, with no screen in between. The problem? Well, we mistake digital interaction for real relationships. But friendships, communities, and even our sense of purpose don't thrive in group chats. They thrive in shared experiences, in-person conversations, and moments where technology is put away. So here's the challenge. This week, meet someone face to face. No texting, no calling, just a real uninterrupted conversation. Have dinner with a friend. Go on a walk with somebody. Because real relationships aren't built through screens. They're built through presence. So that was idea number 15. Now let's recap. Comfort is making us weak. Discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the path to strength. Hardship leads to happiness. We need more solitude, more hunger, and more challenge. And in a world of digital noise, true connection happens face to face. Now, here's the real question. What's one way you're going to step outside your comfort zone this week? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. And if you found this video valuable, hit that like button. It helps us reach more people who need this message. And if you want more powerful ideas like this, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on so you never miss a video. Because at the end of this, the truth is, the world isn't getting any easier. For you, you can get stronger.